computer. All right. Got my good buddy, Louis Accaria. Excited to have you on the Get Better Everyday podcast, brother. Really, for me, this is, as exciting as it gets. An everyday MF doing superhuman things. The whole reason I started this podcast was to share stories of, people that weren't handed stuff, no silver spoons, anything, people that are improving themselves every single day. By all accounts, I think you probably consider yourself an average MF. I consider myself an average MF, but like capable of extraordinary things with work, right? So give everybody 30 seconds to a minute. Who is Louis Accaria?
So, Louis Accaria. Okay, yeah. I'm just an average guy, like you said. My dad's a tile contractor. My mom passed away when I was 15 years old. My mom and dad were married when my mom passed away. They had been married the whole time, grew up a pretty regular life. Dad was upper middle class. We lived in a nice home, but not wealthy. After my mom passed away, he kind of went downhill a little bit as far as money goes. He had to pay for the surgery, which was elective, to try to keep her alive. She had breast cancer. He taught me a trade at a young age. He was very, very difficult or very strict on me and didn't, let me slack off. He taught me how to do tile from a young age. I became a tile contractor, went through the avenues to become a tile contractor. Basically learned from him and then went on my own, right? Went out and worked for the union, got my journeyman card, got my contractor's license, ran a business for a few years doing tile, and then transitioned into the job I have now, which is running a stucco manufacturing company and a tile and stone installation products manufacturing company. So that's like more about the backstory of what I am as far as, what's the word I'm looking for?
Business is concerned, I guess. Yeah,
as far
career.
as business, right? About 5 years ago, I got into jiu-jitsu. The reason I got into jiu-jitsu was because my daughter had seen Ronda Rousey on TV and she wanted to go do it. So, all right, let's go do it, right? And Team Alpha Male was the one I had known of. My nephew, Brandon, is a two-time national champion wrestler, state qualifier, state placer in high school, four-time collegiate All-American, right? And so he had went to one of Uriah's camps. We all kind of followed the fighting game. So we took her over to Uriah's. Long story short, Jade started training just over 5 years ago. And it was about 6 months of me taking her there, as a spectator, that I thought, well, if I'm going to be here, I might as well train myself. So I got into training. At the time, it was Dustin Akbari, Chris Holdsworth, who are my main coaches from White Belt. I just fell in love with it right away. I fell in love with it. I was always a hard worker, as far as work goes. And then before that time, I was in the gym all the time doing lifting and, hit stuff and just, always in the gym, always an athletic guy, football player in high school, whole nine. So the jiu-jitsu thing kind of was never expected to go as far as it has, right? I was, what am I now? 37. So I was like 33, 32 and a half, when I started this. So I'm like, I'm just doing this for fun, but I fall in love with it. I start to become good at it. And then I start winning competitions. The more things I win, the more dedicated I become, So it just became an addiction, right? And it was like training twice a day, every single day, running, doing strength and conditioning, studying. I mean, I can't tell you how many hours upon hours upon hours I study jiu-jitsu, right? I mean, I would tell you that at least I'm studying 30 minutes of jiu-jitsu every day for the last 4.5 years. I'm likely training 2 times a week for the last 4.5 years, probably 5 to 6 times a week, or 2 times a day, 5 to 6 times a week. More than likely 6 or 7 times a week. It's very rare that I don't train twice a day. And it's very rare that I train less than 6 days a week. So, and that's all while running a multi-billion-dollar company, right? Taking care of 2 kids. I have a 16-year-old and a 7-year-old, and being, in a relationship and getting married. So all the same, stuff as anyone else has, a full-time job, 40 hours to 50 hours a week. Kids, I drop the kids off in the morning, I pick them up at night. Family, all the whole same thing. But I always have told people always ask me, how did you get so good at this? And I said, I didn't give myself an option, right? It's the same thing. Do you have to show up to your job on time? Yes, you do. So you don't give yourself an option to be late. You just show up on time, or at least that's the way I was raised, 15 minutes early. So I told myself, if I want to be good at this at such an old age compared to most jiu-jitsu athletes that are on the same level, then I need to dedicate myself to this now. So what that looked like for the longest time, for at least the first 3.5 years, it would mean I would get up at 4 a.m. I would either hit a strength and conditioning workout from 4:30 to 5:30, or I would hit a run or whatever. I would go to Team Alpha Male for a 6 a.m. practice. I would go to work all day. I'd come home, I'd shower, I'd go back to practice, 6 p.m. practice. Both those practices were an hour and a half. So there's 3 hours of time, plus whether it would be a 30-minute workout in the morning or a 30-minute run, just kind of to get the blood pumping. I did that for 3.5 years straight because I was at the time a sales rep. Now I'm a general manager. I can get to a 10 a.m. practice. I still approach it the exact same way. I always make time to get my practices in. I always make time to get my workouts in. If you follow my IG, Lujitsu 12, you can go on there. Today, I'm in Lincoln now on a job walk I just had. So I had an hour. So I have a gym at my house. I hit an hour-long HIIT workout at my house before my thing. This is after dropping off Jade in the morning to her school, dropping off Callie to her school. Had to drop the dog to the doggy day camp because we had the cleaners at the house. So I get up, get breakfast, get all the kids out the door, get the dog out the door, shoot back to the house, change into the gym clothes, hit an hour workout, shower, change into my work clothes, shoot all the way out from El Dorado Hills to Lincoln. That's where I'm at now. About an hour on a job walk. Got this appointment. Obviously, I'll go back to El Dorado Hills, pick up Jade, pick up the dog, pick up Callie, bring them back to the house, spend a little bit of family time with the kids, and then head out for practice again. Right? I'm 2 weeks out from Masters Worlds. It's IBJJF, so it's the older people world championships. I call it old man worlds. Recently just won the Fight to Win belts, one of the biggest jiu-jitsu promotions around. I won that at the adult level against a 23-year-old Atos brown belt. You know what I mean? A guy that I likely shouldn't be able to compete with, and I beat him in 52 seconds by inside heel hook. I've won multiple titles for multiple different organizations, and really, I'm not more athletic than anyone else. I'm not faster than anyone else. I'm not stronger than anyone else. I would say I'm a middle of the road athlete, average at best, right? I think there's even some places maybe I'm a little bit below average in athleticism, right? I think I wouldn't say I'm higher than or lower than. I'm like right there in the middle. So I think that with all that being said, what I try to teach my kids and what I try to preach to anyone that asks me any lower belts or anything like that is, if you have the dedication to do something, you can do it. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't have anything to do with strength, athleticism, anything other than your drive and your willingness to work hard. And really, that's what it all comes down to.
Yeah. I love it, dude. I literally am inspired by you. That's why I was stoked to have you on the pod just to talk to you, because I've watched this, right? And when Uriah opened the new gym, I was in there rolling with you.
Yep.
My kids were doing jujitsu, and I was like, hey, I'll give this a try. I've got you by 5 years, but for all intents and purposes, we're around 40 years old. So we're no spring chickens. And for anybody who doesn't know jujitsu and is just listening to this, it's not like learning how to play checkers, right? This is a very involved sport where the best of the best have been training at it for multiple decades. And so the fact that you've gone from new to the sport to, Fight to Win welterweight champion, IBJJF, whatever the acronym is, Nogi world champ, the stuff that you've accomplished is
Yeah.
huge. But more than that, what I want to pick out for people is if you're willing to put in the work, normal people can have extraordinary results. And I'm not get rich overnight or become a world champ overnight type of guy. That I'll never preach that. If you're willing to put in the work, you put in extraordinary work, you get extraordinary results, whether that's with your business, whether that's in jujitsu, whether that's relationships, and you want to become a better husband, father, all the stuff, right? And so like, I'm almost in tears, honestly, dude. Like you inspire the heck out of me. And I hope that, through watching you, seeing you, getting inspired by you, other people realize like, you know what? I'm 33. It's not over. I can go out and pursue this. Or, you might be 54 and you've failed in businesses and you got to start over. Like anything is possible with the right amount of work ethic, the right amount of drive. It's a pleasure to watch it. One thing I'd like to ask too, because I think that this applies, whether it's jiu-jitsu or anything else, pull out some failures you've had, because anybody who's had success at any level has also had failures. Like you haven't won every single match. Like you haven't had everything go right for you, in life, in the gym, in business. So what are some things that you think were some roadblocks that hurt in the moment, but now looking back, you're like, you know what? That made me stronger.
Well, let's start back, from the beginning. I didn't graduate high school. I got addicted to drugs and alcohol at a young age. I was in and out of juvenile hall and jail at a young age. I had a child at 20 years old that the mother was addicted to drugs. I've had full custody of that little girl since she was 2 years old with no help from anyone else, right? All the way up until I met Emily, my current fiance. So I raised Jade from 2 to she'll be 17 on the 29th of this month. So I've raised Jade from 2 years old to 17 years old. I got clean after I got custody of Jade because I didn't think I was going to be successful in raising her. And I was being drug tested by CPS because her mother tested positive tox for another baby that she had with someone else. That was the whole reason the CPS got involved. So I ended up getting clean just because I wanted to get custody of Jade. My intentions fully were to start drinking and smoking again after I got done being tested. The funny thing is that lasted a year, that court battle. So I was already clean from drugs and alcohol, which I was an addict, at the time. I was smoking at least an eighth to a quarter of marijuana a day and probably drinking somewhere in the neighborhood of an 18 pack to a 30 pack a day, not just on the weekends. During the week, I would drink while I was working. I'd wake up in the morning. I'd drink beers. I'd smoke weed all day long. I'd party. You know what I mean? My life was unmanageable. You know what I mean? But my work ethic got me through that. And then my daughter basically saved my life. I got clean, and I have been clean now for 13 or 14 years, completely clean, no alcohol, no drugs, no cigarettes, nothing. I completely quit alcohol, cigarettes, and marijuana, which was the drugs I was using. I wasn't necessarily using any hard drugs, but again, I was addicted. So those are some failures I faced at a young age. Like I said, my mom died when I was 15 years old, so that was pretty tough, And then as far as moving forward, I journeyed out in the Tile Setters and Finishers Union. I went and got my contractor's license. I started a business. That business was very successful, doing very well. I got an offer to be a sales rep at Omega Products International. I wasn't going to take the job because I felt like the offer wasn't that good, but he continued to increase the offer. Finally, it became a no-brainer. So I took that job because obviously running your own business takes a lot of time, and trying to do that while raising a daughter. I was working 16, 17 hours a day. Obviously not in the field, but you work in the field, you come home, you got to do billing, you got to do payroll, you've got to do bids, all these things. So there's a ton involved in running a tile company. So it made sense for me to make more time for Jade to take the job. So I got this job 12 years ago. And I've been running ever since. You know what I mean? I started out as a sales rep. I'm now the general manager of the entire company. You know what I mean? So after falling and making mistakes and all these things that happen, I ended up coming out the other side, which for me is the most important thing, regardless of jiu-jitsu. For me, jiu-jitsu was supposed to be just a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then you get into jiu-jitsu, you start winning stuff. Now I'm going against guys that are this is what they do as a job. The last match I just lost, I honestly believe in my heart I can beat this guy. I guarantee you I'll get another match with this guy. He's a 10th planet black belt. He's been training 13 or 14 years. I believe he's been a black belt for 4 or 5 years, almost as long as I've been training. He's been a black belt. And he runs that. His job is jiu-jitsu. That's what he does. And so I had a tournament against him. I lost. He submitted me with an inside heel hook, which was funny because I got in on my entry, and looking back on it, I just made a mistake and I could have probably won. Good for him. Prior to that, I beat multiple different guys, won the world championships, no gi, won multiple fight to win matches. And then this is a crazy thing. So fight to win is like the biggest submission only promotion. A matter of fact, it is the biggest submission only promotion. So I was like 4-0. So I decided I'm going to start calling for a title shot. So I started putting out Instagram posts and all this shit. I barely know the promoter. He doesn't know who the hell I am necessarily. All he knows is I submitted lots of guys and I'm winning. So I'm like putting out, all these things, asking my friends to repost it. So I get a message one day and he's like, all right, I got a match for you this day. I'm like a week out, right? But I already knew it was coming. So I already anticipated I was going to get a match. So I'm ready. I'm always ready. I was training, which is another thing. You have to be always ready if you want to have the opportunity. So then he doesn't say it's for a title. So then I said, so, hey, let's run this for a title. He says, no problem. We'll run it for a title. So he puts the title on the line, a week notice or whatever, against a 23-year-old Atos brown belt who's 4-0 in MMA. You know what I mean? Atos is a huge school, one of the biggest and most successful schools around. So this kid's legit. I said, run it. Go there. We drive all the way from Sacramento to Reno. I had to pick up Chris. It was a 2.5, 3-hour drive. 58 seconds the match was. I submitted him in about 40-something, 48 seconds. And, the end clock from, pulling guard to freaking when they stopped the camera was 58 seconds. So I actually didn't even break a sweat in the match. I broke more of a sweat in my warm-up. That's 15 minutes before the match than I did in the match. I got the belt. I walked over to the guy who is the promoter, Seth Daniels, cool guy. And I just told him, thank you, man, for giving me the opportunity. He looked me in the eye, said, you deserve this. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know this guy from Adam. He said, you deserve this. He said, I watched a lot of your stuff on your Instagram. You deserve this. Keep up what you're doing. So now I'm sitting in a position where in the next 6 months to a year, every match I get could be against a high-level brown belt or a high-level black belt. And I have a title that gives me the opportunity to get better matches. So I wasn't supposed to be here in jiu-jitsu. I wasn't supposed to be here in business, in life. You know what I mean? I have a nice house in El Dorado Hills. Like I do very well. My family's taken care of. And I didn't even graduate freaking high school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like you could, I was telling my daughter this, you could not have a good childhood and still become something special, right? Look at LeBron James. Look at these kids that grew up in the inner city that had nothing, but ended up making it. How did they do that, right? Do you think that every single one of those people were more gifted than everyone else? No, like they worked hard, right? You look at Kobe Bryant. What was so special about Kobe Bryant? Kobe Bryant outworked everyone. That's what I live my life by. And when I mean outwork everyone, I don't really care about anyone else, what they're doing. I want to outwork what I think is possible. Okay, so if I think I can run 5 miles in however many time, I want to beat that the next time and the next time and the next time. And I want to keep track of how much progress I'm making. So I'm outworking everything and everyone that has ever thought about working, right? I think that if I'm in the gym and I'm working and I'm pushing, I'm getting better and the other guy's not. If I feel like quitting, I think the other guy's over there working harder than me, right? And sometimes maybe that's crazy, right? You see David Goggins, he runs so much, he blows his feet out. But guess what? That's what he loves to do, and there's a reason why he's successful, because nobody's going to break him. As a matter of fact, he can't even break himself.
Yeah. When you can't break yourself,
right?
you're
so hard. Yeah. So I think that the message that I would like to kind of put out there is believe in yourself. I haven't never any. If you ask anybody, there ain't never a time that I go into a match that I think I'm going to lose that match. Never. Even the guy that I lost to, if I went against him tomorrow, I would believe that I was going to win that match. I'm not afraid of him or anyone for that matter. And I believe in the preparation. I believe the confidence that I have comes from the hard work. And I've heard that from multiple high level athletes that they're that confident. Chris Holdsworth, 15-0, 14-0, 13 finishes in MMA, won the Ultimate Fighter. He told, if you go back and watch the Ultimate Fighter 18, all the other guys were hanging out with Ronda Rousey, Miesha Tate, hanging out, partying. Chris is working out all by himself. He's working out. Why? Because he had a goal. His goal wasn't to make friends there. His goal was to win the Ultimate Fighter. He won that. He won it by all first round submissions. Okay. He won 13 of 14 fights by first round submission. It wasn't because he was dicking around. It was because he outworked everyone. Yeah. Right. And I think you do that in your business, right? There's a reason why your business is so successful. You're super personable. You listen to what people need and want, and you deliver, right? But that doesn't happen by slacking off. That doesn't happen by missing opportunities, right? And so, shoot, I could talk about it all day, right?
Yeah, I mean, the funny part is my next question, like you already started going down that path, because like listening to you, like the guy's brand new to jiu-jitsu. Who is this guy against someone who's been training full-time for 15 years? Who is Louis Accaria to come out and say, I deserve a title shot. I can beat this guy. I can beat that guy. So I was going to ask you where all that confidence comes from. You started to answer it, right? Like, how hard you're working. About the 4:30 run. About the 2-a-days. Like you've done that. So like, that's where that comes from. Where else do you think that confidence comes from? Because I think for a lot of folks, mindset plays a big part. Business, sports, all of it, right? Like, so besides the hard work, is there anything else you can point to and say, this is where I've learned to glean confidence and be confident in myself?
Yeah, it's absolutely the mindset. So I literally walk around my house all the time, speaking this into existence. I'm the best. I'm the baddest dude around. Nobody can beat me. I literally sit in my sauna every single night and put on meditation music and tell myself over and over and over again, you're the best. Nobody can beat you. You're working harder than everybody else. I do it to my wife. I tell her that all the time. She tells me that back all the time, right? I tell that to my kids. You're the best. I believe in you. You're the best, right? And I think that the visualization, the hard work, the never-ending belief in yourself, regardless of what anyone else says, is key. And it is difficult to get there. And the way that I believe that you get there is by continually reminding yourself that you are the best, right? It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks, and you don't have to compare yourself to anyone else either. All you have to do is know in your heart that you're the best that you could be. Right? I've done everything I could do to be the best. So at the end of the day, the reason it's funny because I don't get nervous before matches. A lot of people are like, oh, they're lying. People are lying if they say, I don't get nervous because I am so comfortable with who I am as a human being that the result of a match doesn't dictate who I am. Right? So I believe that I've done everything I can do. I've left no stone unturned. And that gives me a supreme like a never-ending comp. Some people are like, this dude's crazy. This dude
might be a little bit, brother.
Yeah, like they think that. Like even my family sometimes says that. Like they're like, okay, we're going out to this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. I'm like, oh, I can't go. Well, why not? Well, I got to practice. But you already practiced today. Doesn't matter. I got 2 practices. I got shit coming up. So you can't go to do this with the family because you got this. I'm like, yeah, I ain't going out there to get whooped. Right? I don't want to take no practices. None. Right? Like, I mean, I could go down the list about the things that I've been through. My house burning, my kid getting put into a mental institution. My dad right now has got cancer and he's fucking, I don't know if he's dying, but he's definitely not doing well. You know what I mean? So many different things that come up throughout the course of a day, the course of a month, that you cannot allow any of that to deter you, right? All these things in life are going to happen. We're going to have breakups. We're going to have bad things happen. We're going to get in a car accident, whatever may happen in life. You can never allow that to deter your vision. And for me, my number one vision is making sure that my kids and family have everything they need. That literally is the most important thing to me, right? Jiu-jitsu is fun. I love it. And I attack it the exact same way as everything else. But again, it's not a career, it's a hobby. Right. So that's the thing that people don't understand. I've been told by multiple guys that are in the UFC that I train harder than most guys that are professional fighters.
I believe it. I believe it. And I've seen it firsthand and I've witnessed it for 4.5 years. What I want to pull out of this for people is that get better every day, regardless of what it is. It's a compounding effect. The 2-a-days, you're not going to be great in a week. You're not going to be great in a month. But here's the thing that like blows my mind just thinking about this, dude. 5 years ago, our kids are doing jujitsu, and me and you, because I've got you by 50 pounds, might have been equals in jujitsu 5 years ago. Now you're at the fucking top of the game. The top of the game, right? Like when it comes to 37-year-old dudes who weigh what you weigh, like even the guys that are brown and black when you're purple, you're at the top of the friggin' game. And that's been 365 days a year times 5 years of nonstop effort. And people can put that effort into whatever they want. They can put that effort into business. They can put it into, jujitsu. They can put it into basketball. You put it into whatever they want. And like you, I'm trying to deploy this stuff on my kiddos. Anything's possible with the right amount of work, right? You talked about staying motivated, staying hungry, staying confident, staying ready, right? Like all these opportunities present themselves in life, not because we're lucky, right? Like business opportunities don't show up on my doorstep because I'm lucky, right? I've been working hard for 8 years, nonstop, every single day. So when something presents itself, it's supposed to present itself, right? Just like the title matches and the stuff that you got going on. So I'm super friggin' stoked, man. I know you got stuff to do. I appreciate the heck out of your time. In closing, I know you mentioned Lujitsu 12. That's where people can follow you on Instagram. What else do you got coming up? You said you got a match coming up.
I got a tournament. I got the Master World Championships in the gi brown belt. So what Masters Worlds is again your age group and your belt group and your weight group. So that's 2 weeks out. It's the IBJJF. It's the largest like tournament style jiu-jitsu promotion. I'm already a no-gi world champion for them at purple belt. So that's it. I'm going to Las Vegas in 2 weeks. Still training twice a day. You know what I mean? That's what's going on, so that I have that. And then I'm going to angle for a big fight to win match against a huge name. And so that's really where I'm at. I'm going to ask for it and we're going to see what happens, right? You can't get what you want without asking for it. That's the first thing they taught me in sales. You need to ask for what you want. So don't be afraid to. The worst thing that could happen is they tell you no. Maybe they even laugh you out of the building, but guess what? Hey, I'm ask again because I don't want to go against the easy guys. I want the best guy. I want the black belt world champion, right? Like that's my goal. I believe I'm going to win multiple adult level world championships, brown and black belt, which should never happen. I don't even know if anyone past 28 or 29 years old ever won a black belt world championship, but I'm going to win one. You know what I mean? And I believe that in my fucking heart and soul. Nobody would have told you I was going to win a fight to win championship. Nobody, right? Like you could ask a million people 5 years ago, do you think Lou's going to win a black belt world championship or a brown belt world championship or like, nuh-uh, they don't, because you wouldn't be able to know that. Right? Even now, like people now, it's crazy. People are starting to believe. I'm getting little things here and there, and people are like, oh, you want to do this? Oh, you want to do this? I'm getting promotions hitting me up to compete for them. And it's kind of crazy because like I even sometimes think like, what if I train full time? Like, how much better do I get if I train all the time? Right? That's the addiction in my mind. Like, shoot, maybe I'll just quit my job and just do jiu-jitsu full time. Obviously, I can't do that. My job affords my lifestyle. But I'm not going to lie. It's crossed my mind. Like, all right, I can be the best in the world. Like, I can be the best in the world, not just the best, you know what I mean, black belt at this. I can be the best of all time. Like, that's what my brain always tells me. It's
Right,
always
right.
been that.
Yeah, and it should be for most people, man. If you're going to do something, do it with your full heart, dude. Do it with passion. Try to be the best. Sometimes you're going to aim to be the best and you end up 147th in the country, right? 38th in the country. That's pretty darn good. So I'm super excited to watch you, man. It's a pleasure having you as a friend. I love you, man. Thank you so much for your time, dude.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me on, and we'll talk soon.
All right,